What is good, dudes, lady dudes alike? Welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. I don't know if you heard, but over the past weekend at YCS Chicago, Luna Lights got first place. Yeah, Luna Lights, a deck that, for the longest time you were like, oh, they do some spicy thing in the battle phase. They got a couple new cards in Sisters of the Rose, and honestly, those cards really help a little bit. I mean, they do a good amount of help to break them open. But first place, absolutely just straight up first place, which is insane, because if you had asked me what are the top 25 decks in Yu-Gi-Oh, I would have given you a pretty definite 10 to 15, and then between 16 and 25 would probably get a little scattered and super, personal preference up there, but Luna Lights weren't going to be anywhere near that. And that's what's so crazy, is that a deck that probably a lot of people would agree with me before this weekend, saying Luna Lights, nah, not really even top 30, that they can get first place like this. The only guy in Top Cut storms through Top Cut and gets first place, which is absolutely insane. The whole point of this video, guys, is just play what you want to play, competitive or not. Just play the decks you want to play. I mean, there's a lot of really good reasons for this. I mean, the reason that the gentleman, I believe his name was Raphael, who got first place at YCS Chicago, says that he did so well. Nobody knows your deck. If you're playing a deck that's outside of the top, 15 decks, a lot of those top competitive players aren't even going to know what they do. They may have a general idea from when the cards came out, if they're older, if it's an older archetype, or something like that. But if you got like new support recently or something, there's a good chance that 80 to 90% of the players you're going to play don't even know what your deck does, don't even know what the goal of your deck is, your win condition, your engine, how it works, any of that stuff. So that's like a huge advantage right out the gate, of like, why? So many players, and I don't like seeing this. It really irks me to some extent when you see these players, the top competitive players that are supposed to be leading the charge for all these people that like want to become competitive players. They see these guys, they're like, wow, look at these guys. They're paving the way for us to get better and showing us how it's done. But then like half of them are literally just like, their formula is just, let me find what's the best deck so I can just play that and win. Because if you play the best deck, you win. That's how they want to play. That's not how it works. Luna Lights are not the best deck. Luna Lights are far from the best deck. I would say maybe they're, arguably a good deck. Yeah, I think they're a solid deck. Best deck, I don't know. Top 5, I don't even know. And they got first place. So like, there's so many factors, and it's not just picking the best deck. Sometimes, like me, what I learned about myself is I'm not really a combo / OTK, heavy board spam deck kind of player, super aggressive style. I'm more of a control player. I want to control the game state. I want to control my opponent's able to do, keep their movements at a minimum, and then slowly whittle them down from there. That's my strategy. And then you look at something like, what's the best deck? Like Thunder Dragons might be the best deck, but that's a pretty heavy, with the dangers and everything that's in that deck, that's a pretty heavy board spam deck, and that's just not for me. So even though that's the best deck, I don't want to play that because it's not for me. I'll probably do worse than that, than like Paleos, because I like Paleos because they're a control strategy like I like to play, and it fits me. So there's so many aspects to it that like, don't just flock to what is considered the best deck, because Luna Lights can win. You know what I mean? Why play the best deck when you can play a deck you like, that you enjoy, that fits you personally, and still do well with? Now take this with a grain of salt. You can't take any deck to a big event like this. You can't just take you can't just take, I don't know, what's a good example for this, like, I don't know, wind-ups, like, I don't know, stuff on the ban list. You can't just take, like, because eventually stuff does get outdated, and you do still need a deck that is good enough, at least, that with combined with the fact that it can be like an unknown factor that your opponents may not know how to combat and stuff, you still need to have a deck that's at least good enough to at least, do enough to win. Like, you can't just take Infernities nowadays and win because they're just not good enough. They've been power crept so much that they just don't do enough to like, even if your opponent doesn't know what they do, to just like win. So you still need a deck that. But if you think that a deck that nobody really gives appreciation for, this is like me in Lair of Darkness. I think ninjas are undervalued. I think ninjas need like 2 or 3 more like good support cards, and then I think they straight up could be not just rogue, but like a legit rogue. I'm talking like 5th best deck in the game, maybe even a little higher. But I think Lair is like legitimately a strong rogue strategy. A lot of people don't, but that's me. And I know sometimes the deck can have consistency problems, but I've been working on that. And like, that's one of the things for me. Like, I would take Lair of Darkness to like a bigger event because a lot of people don't know how the stuff specifically works. And it can catch them off guard. Tributing people's stuff, their own stuff, is insane. There's just so many things. Like, if there's a deck that you think is better than people give it credit for, then you apply the factor that most people probably don't even know what it does, and it's stronger than they think, and you can make a ton of upsets that way. Not just 1 or 2 upsets, like consistently upset, because it's the same thing every time, the same situation if everybody doesn't know what the deck does. So, and eventually people would know, but if it's as good as you think it is, and you think it's like better than what people give it credit for, then it'll pop up. I mean, we have so many examples of this. We saw Luna Lights in this YCS. We saw YCS Milan, what, a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, with Prank Kids. Prank Kids who had like, did they have any regional tops? I don't know if they had any regional tops at all before YCS Milan. I know they definitely had some after, but out of nowhere, like everybody said, like, and I thought this too. I was like, if Prank Kids don't get like a Link 1, I don't know if I see them like doing enough. But I didn't understand the combos. It's a super heavy combo deck. I didn't read too much into the combo aspect of the deck. I thought the cards were awesome and cool. I love the designs. But boy, was I wrong, because they straight up won first place at YCS Milan. And then we see all the way back in early 2018 at YCS Bochum, we saw World Chalice come out of nowhere with a straight up win. A really impressive win. That's a really good duel to watch if you want to watch a good competitive duel. Watch like YCS Bochum finals. Because that was awesome. And World Chalice was a deck that people were like, oh yeah, it has a high ceiling. If it pops off, like, it's going to be really hard for any deck to compete with. But it's not consistent enough. Pen Magicians were there at the time. True Dracos were there at the time, and they were like, this deck just can't hang with them. And he won. Straight up, the dude won. Marco Perico, I believe. First place again, and it's crazy. Like, you see a ton of decks. We see Ritual Beast got like a regional top or 2 this past year. Like, you just, so many decks can do it. Like, that's just it is. But I think people get caught up in the mindset of like, if you're not playing one of the best 3 decks, then you can't compete, and that's totally wrong. I mean, you shouldn't be scared just because only one Trickstar player made it to top cut at this last YCS. Like, if you're a Trickstar player and you love Trickstars, be that one Trickstar player. Make yourself the second Trickstar player in Top Cut. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be so much more rewarding if you play a deck you love and a deck you personally enjoy than if you just picked out, you know, the best deck you thought was going to give you the best chance to top. It's not always like that. And I'm just saying, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to go out there and, you know, try whatever you want. It's personal to you. So, I don't know, guys. I just want to get this off my mind. I was just thinking about it, and when you see something like this, things like this happen, you know, so close to each other. What, a month and a half apart for YCS Milan and Prank Kids and YCS Chicago and Luna Lights. You see something like that are so wild to see. You're like, everybody, like, eyes are so wide. Like, what? Luna Lights? What? Prank Kids? It shows that there's more. There's more to this game. There's a reason 12 different decks topped at this YCS. The format is different. We've got Salamangrates coming. That's a 13th deck that's, you know, going to be cracking top cut slots. Like, so much. You can play whatever. You can play a ton of different decks. You don't have to play the best 3. And, yeah, that's the only message I want to get across, guys. Enjoy your Yu-Gi-Oh! Day. The rest of it. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe for more stuff from me in the future. I'm keeping up with news. I got more deck profiles coming and discussion videos as well, like this one and other stuff. So sub to the channel for more of that and play whatever you want, guys. Peace.